Hi, I'm Mark, and today I want to talk about a radical course change in Wales. Wales wants to reduce emissions through strict rules and does not stop at important connection roads. Most recently, the expansion of a highly frequented bridge fell victim to the cutbacks, and that's just one of 32 projects. Entire regions now fear that they are being left behind. The Menai Strait usually looks like a peaceful river, but the image of calm is deceptive. In the body of water that separates the island of Anglesey from the Welsh mainland, shifting tides result in strong currents and quite dangerous eddies. The suspension bridge, designed by engineer Thomas Telford, was celebrated accordingly when it opened in 1826. The largest structure of its kind in the world at the time shortened the travel time between London and Holyhead, the most important port for ferries to Ireland, by 9 hours. To this day, the limestone and steel structure is a central link to Anglesey, supplemented since 1850 by a double bridge for road and rail traffic 1.5 kilometers to the west. But the crossings have been reaching their limits for years, and at peak times, traffic is regularly blocked in front of the access roads. The situation was exacerbated when the Menai suspension bridge had to be completely closed for safety reasons, and that happened last fall. Necessary repairs were completed a few weeks ago, but residents still have to do without the third crossing, which has been planned for 2 decades and promised by the Welsh regional government in 2018. Because the Labour government has followed the recommendation of a commission of experts and completed a radical U-turn in road construction. 59 projects were examined for their environmental impact. The planned bridge is one of the 32 projects that will be completely scrapped. Only 17 will continue as planned, with the rest being reconsidered. The radical strategy is designed to help meet the country's ambitious emission targets for the transport sector. In 2021, the government stipulated that the average number of kilometers driven by each inhabitant by car should fall by 10% below the 2019 level by 2030. At the same time, the use of buses, trains and bicycles is to be expanded. Switching to electric vehicles alone is not enough to achieve the goal. That was the verdict of the expert commission. Britain's regions have been able to set their own rules in a number of policy areas for around 3 decades. Scotland had set itself an even more ambitious target and plans to reduce traffic kilometers by 20% over the same period. England has no comparable goal. Traffic and transport account for almost a quarter of emissions in the UK. And with this initiative, Wales has opted for a radically different path than, for example, here in Germany, the transport policy is. The approach of the past 70 years just doesn't work, was said by Lee Waters, the Deputy Minister for Climate Issues in the Senate, that's the Parliament in Cardiff, when presenting the strategy. The Commission points out that the construction of a bypass to relieve traffic disruptions instead leads to additional traffic, which irrevocably leads to call for more lanes, better developed junctions and even more roads. And so, he said, we're going in circles, emitting more and more carbon dioxide, and we're not going to get net zero emissions unless we stop doing the same thing over and over again. But the step won't be easy, he warned. Roads will continue to be built in Wales, but they must comply with strict rules. 4 objectives are therefore considered reasonable: to shift traffic to other means of transport, such as bicycles or buses, and to reduce traffic casualties and improve safety, to adapt existing rules to the consequence of climate change, and to enable access to new urban planning projects within whose sustainable transport solution should be preferred. On the other hand, new or upgraded roads should expressly not increase the capacity for private transport. Projects for higher traffic speeds are also taboo. A third bridge over the Menai Street, on the other hand, would have increased traffic by around 10% over the next 15 years, according to forecasts. In addition, it would have endangered the old forest. Accordingly, this fell victim what we would call the red pen. Unsurprisingly, the strict new rules have met with considerable resistance. There was criticism by Natasha Ashgar, who is responsible for transport issues for the conservative opposition, as a backward-looking anti-motorist agenda. Runa Bjoveth, a Senate MP for the National Plaid Cymru Party for the Anglesey constituency affected by the bridge freeze, said he was shocked by the decision. Ultimately, the lack of expansion would further disadvantage the region economically. The situation is no different in other affected regions, which are concerned that economic development and tourism will suffer. And even MPs from the ruling Labour Party complained that the new rules were not discussed in more detail before they were already implemented. However, it does not look like a quick reversal, but last but not least, financial reasons could play a role here. Funding for the road is approved in London, but no money has been approved for it in the budget. And according to the Welsh government, the real pay is 8% less available than planned in the coming year because of the high inflation. And meanwhile, alternatives are being considered for the Menai Bridge. One option is to expand the existing infrastructure with separate lanes for cyclists and pedestrians. So it is quite a radical decision in Wales, and that is why I wanted to bring this video to bring it a little bit more into light. We don't often enough hear from regional stuff, and you know it. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.